Well, good morning and welcome to this video. I need to talk about a problem I've noticed in copyright recently, which doesn't seem to be getting enough attention. And I've kind of outlined the problem right here. In the past, many people, but like back around 2000, the late 90s, many people thought when people published things online that they had the right to control who they could be distributed to. And newspapers often thought, for example, that if people linked directly into their sites, they would lose advertising revenue. So there were some sites that didn't want people to be able to hyperlink into their sites. In the early 2000s, this was seen as disrupting their business models. Since then, paywalls have become an answer to that problem in part. But there are still some sites today, like Fox News will throw 403 forbiddens if an undesirable site like Blogger tries to link to an internal URL in it. And in Europe, there's the link tax as part of the copyright directive. It doesn't exactly stop linking, but it certainly tries to discourage it. There's a feeling that amateur citizen journalism and so forth is interfering with the people having jobs in traditional journalism. I don't think there's much question about that. There was a case in 2000, I don't remember the name of it, in which a judge in the United States, this is U.S. law, ruled that hyperlinks are basically like footnotes in a term paper. They just tell you where in a library, where the library is the World Wide Web, where to find something, and then they present it to you. And also, gradually, the doctrine has developed that video embeds from YouTube or any other video or even photos are just hyperlinks because the actual content is on a different server. We had what we called the server rule. There's been some challenge to that in a case recently, Goldberg versus Breitbart. YouTube used to allow disabling of embeds, but it doesn't now, and we would wonder why. There's been some question about that has some effect on its misinformation policy and insisting on countervailing views be included in the video itself and not just in the description. But in any case, copyright law doesn't normally consider the purpose for a link. It's just simply whether the link is legal or not, except that, fair use in theory does consider what the effect on the market of anything that is thought to be infringing might be. I've had a situation where recently I encountered a music video with sheet music, where in the description it said that linking to this video was allowed only for non-commercial purposes. So that would mean, for example, if you have Adsense on the blog, and on this blog I've actually taken it off so that it's not commercial. But if you have, on my other blogs I do, if you have Adsense, that's technically commercial. So that could be a problem. But I've never heard of before that this was allowed in copyright law. So I think there's a problem. You may also remember that Napster back in around 1999, 2000, the early 2000s, when it was eventually sued and put out of business and restructured, it didn't actually do copying. It just told people in a peer-to-peer environment where to find stuff. It sort of facilitated infringement, but didn't actually do the infringement. And that seems to be a problem. I'm not sure that that's gone away completely. So I wanted to point out some of these problems. We need to make sure, for example, with the Case Act, when the Copyright Claims Board starts getting implemented, maybe later this year or the beginning of next year, that they don't change the way this is interpreted. And I do think that some copyright attorneys ought to make some videos and go over this problem again. It seems like there are a lot of pieces of this that need to be put together. So anyway, I'll put the links that I talked about here on for you to look at. And in the description below. And I would like to see some professional videos from copyright attorneys made to bring us up to date on this problem. Thank you.